Rintaro was a shy and often overlooked guy because of his tall and intimidating appearance. This deeply affected him emotionally, causing him to give up on socializing. However, everything changed when he met Karuko Wagure, a kind and sweet girl who loves to eat. It was just another regular day at the two schools standing side by side. Kikyo, the prestigious all-girls school, and Chidori, the rough all-boys school. Rintaro, a student from Chidori, sat by the window, staring at the building next door. He had long accepted that he'd never understand the world of Kikyo girls. They avoided Chidori boys like they were contagious. One morning, Rintaro's friends, Saku, Sohei, and Ayato, got into an argument with two boys from another school. None of them wanted to take the blame, and they all started blaming each other. Things were about to turn into a fight, but then Rintaro stepped in. Just one serious look from him was enough to scare the other boys away. Afterward, he lightly scolded his friends for starting trouble, but they turned around and said it was actually Rintaro's fault. The two boys had apparently said something about him earlier. As they walked to school, Rintaro remembered why one of those guys might have recognized him. A while ago, there had been a couple arguing in front of his house. The girl slapped the guy and stormed off. Rintaro, trying to be helpful, walked up to the boy to check if he was okay. But the boy panicked, thought Rintaro was going to hit him, and ran away, only to trip and hurt himself. When Rintaro finished telling the story, his friends didn't look impressed. They knew Rintaro was kind, but his intimidating appearance often made people think he was dangerous. As the group continued walking, they passed two Kikyo girls. The girls quickly looked down and avoided eye contact. One of them dropped her handkerchief. Trying to be nice, Sohei picked it up and tried to return it. But the girl just glared at him and told him to throw it away. She didn't want anything to do with boys from Chidori. Sohei shrugged it off, pretending not to care. He told himself she was just too shy to talk to someone as handsome as him. The boys then entered their own school. It was a plain and simple building, nothing like the beautiful and clean Kikyo Academy next door. Rintaro couldn't help but think about how different the two schools were. The Kikyo girls acted like Chidori boys were some kind of threat. Chidori had a bad name. It was known for poor grades, wild boys, and a lack of discipline. The dislike from Kikyo was so strong that the girls even kept their curtains closed just so they didn't have to see the boys' school. Later, while Rintaro was scrolling through his phone, he got a notification. He had work that day and had to turn down his friend's invitation to hang out. That afternoon, heavy rain poured down as Rintaro ran to the cafe where he worked. His boss, Kyuko, who was also his mom, greeted him. Rintaro nervously asked if it was really okay for him to serve customers. He worried his scary appearance might drive him away. But Kyuko smiled and told him not to worry. There was only one customer to take care of. The rest of the staff were busy baking pastries for the next day's event, so Rintaro was in charge of the front counter. While setting things up, he noticed a wet umbrella by the entrance. Looking around, he saw a girl sitting alone at a table. She looked like a middle school student. What really caught his eye, though, was the stack of empty cake plates around her. She had already eaten several pieces. When the girl noticed him looking, her face turned red and she started to choke. Without thinking, Rintaro rushed over and gave her a glass of water. She quickly drank it but looked very embarrassed. Before he could say anything, she stood up, thanked him for the food, and ran out of the cafe. He was left standing there, unsure of what just happened. That night, while they were closing up, Kyuko casually told Rintaro that the girl's name was Wagure and that she was actually a regular customer. This only made Rintaro feel worse. He worried that his presence might scare her away for good. But Kyuko just laughed and told him not to worry. She said Wagure didn't seem like someone who would be easily scared, and that if anything, cake could solve the problem. The next day, Rintaro was still bothered by what happened. During lunch, he sat quietly, thinking about how he might apologize or where he might see Wagure again. When his friends came over, he told them to go ahead without him. Sohei, watching him walk away, quietly wondered why Rintaro never shared what was really on his mind. After school, Rintaro was relaxing in his room when his mom came in with unexpected news. Wagure was at the cafe and wanted to talk to him. Still in his casual clothes, he rushed downstairs and saw her waiting. Caught off guard, Rintaro awkwardly said hello, but then Wagure surprised him by saying she would treat him. A few minutes later, Rintaro found himself sitting across from her with a slice of strawberry cake and a drink in front of him. Wagure had come to say sorry for running away the day before. At first, Rintaro tried to turn down the treat, but he noticed her sneaking glances at the cake. Quietly, he pushed the plate toward her, offering it back. Though she hesitated, the cake was too tempting to resist. As she began eating with small, happy bites, Rintaro watched in amazement. He couldn't believe someone with such a small frame could have such a big appetite. After finishing her cake, Wagure explained that she hadn't planned to eat so many pieces the day before. She thought she was alone and could enjoy herself without anyone seeing, but getting caught in the middle of her cake binge had embarrassed her. It wasn't fear that made her run away, it was shame. She then admitted she had seen Rintaro working at the cafe before and had always been curious about him. Only now did Rintaro understand. Wagiri had run away because she was scared of him. She had been nervous. It wasn't his scary face that made her panic, but something else. Being near him made her heart race. Rintaro was surprised. Most girls either avoided him or acted afraid when they saw him. But Wagiri's words were completely different. Her small confession replayed in his mind, and he felt his face grow hot. Not knowing what to do with all these feelings, he stood up and offered to walk her to the station since it was getting late. But before they left, she bought another cake and then said she'd walk by herself. The station wasn't far after all. As she walked away, she suddenly turned back and gave him a bright smile. "I never thought you were scary," she said gently. Then she disappeared into the night. What neither of them noticed was that two boys nearby had been watching everything, and they didn't look friendly. Later, back in his room, Rintaro stared at the floor, lost in thought. Wagiri's kindness felt strange compared to how others usually treated him. All the mean things people had said about him over the years came rushing back, things said ever since he was a kid. But through the noise of those memories, Wagiri's words echoed clearly in his head. For the first time in a long while, something inside him felt warm. That peaceful moment didn't last. His mom, Kyuko, suddenly burst into his room, holding a familiar box. It was one of the cakes Wagiri had bought, but she dropped it outside, not far from the cafe. Worry filled Rintaro's chest. If Wagiri had dropped the cake, maybe something had happened to her. He rushed outside and ran through the nearby streets, searching for any sign of her. He knew it could be dangerous at night. After a while, he heard his name being mentioned and followed the voices. What he saw made him freeze. Wagiri was cornered by two men. They were asking her questions about him. Rintaro stayed hidden and listened. The men were spreading rumors, saying Rintaro had always been a troublemaker, even back in middle school. They called Shigori a bad school full of losers and said his friends were no good either. Hearing their cruel words hurt Rintaro deeply. He knew his school didn't have the best reputation and he wasn't perfect, but hearing himself described like that still stung. But then Wagiri spoke up. She admitted the rumors sounded scary, but calmly asked why they believed such things without knowing Rintaro. She said if they talked to him, they'd see he was nothing like the rumors said. The men didn't listen. But Wagiri didn't argue. She just told them to stop spreading lies. It wasn't right to judge someone without trying to understand them first. One of the men let go of her arm, but the other raised his fist, ready to hit her. That's when Rintaro rushed in without thinking. He jumped in front of her and shielded her with his body. Wagiri gasped in shock. Rintaro made sure she was okay, then looked at the two guys with cold eyes. The moment they met his glare, both of them froze in fear and backed off without saying another word. Wagiri quickly ran to Rintaro. She reached up to his forehead. It was bleeding. He had hit it against the wall while protecting her. She began apologizing, worried that he was badly hurt. But Rintaro gently told her it wasn't from a punch, and it wasn't that serious. Then he said something unexpected. He told her the wound was like punishment for doubting her and for dragging her into trouble. Wagiri tried to lift his head, but he stayed bowed full of guilt. She had done nothing wrong and she got hurt because of him. But instead of letting him continue, Wagiri gently wiped the blood from his forehead and told him something he had never heard before. She couldn't understand why people were afraid of him, because to her, he clearly seemed like a kind person. She didn't accept his apology. Instead, she simply thanked him. In that moment, something changed inside Rintaro. He had always accepted that people would misunderstand him. But now someone was looking at him differently, with honesty and warmth. After all the stares full of fear and hate, Wagiri's smile felt like sunlight he had never expected to see. To make sure she got home safely, he walked her to the station. Just as he was about to leave, she called out to him. When he turned around, she was smiling and suggested that they eat cake together sometime. Surprised but quietly pleased, Rintaro nodded. Then they went their separate ways. He walked home while Wagiri waited for her train, still thinking about the moment he had stepped in to protect her. The next morning, Rintaro arrived at school much earlier than usual. He hadn't slept well, with thoughts of Wagiri lingering in his mind. As he stared out the window, wondering when she might visit the cafe again, something unexpected caught his eye. The curtains of the Kikyo school building shifted, and to his surprise, it was Wagiri peeking out from behind them. Their eyes met across the courtyard. Both of them froze. Rintaro quickly shut the curtains, confused and surprised. He had thought Wagiri was a middle school student. But now he realized something that changed everything. Wagiri was actually a student at Kikyo, and that could make everything more complicated. That marks the end of today's anime recap. If you enjoyed the video and want more of it, please support the channel by leaving a like and subscribe. Let's help us reach a current goal of 10K subscribers.